the number one there on the blue bike. Going from out. Oh, and he gets slammed.
What's cracking, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel and thank y'all for tuning in. It's your boy Matty B, and today we're going to get into some of the drama from round 2 at the St. Louis SMX playoff race. The takedown heard round the world. We're going to break down Levi Kitchen teeing up Haiden Deegan at the beginning of Moto 2 in St. Louis. And I'm going to give you guys as in-depth and as full of a breakdown as possible. We'll dive into some of the possible motivations behind Kitchen's move on Deegan. We'll talk about how Deegan even ended up in that position in the first place. We'll break down the move itself, the botched execution, and how Kitchen possibly could have made it out of that one unscathed. But we'll break all that down as in-depth as possible, and then we had some post-race thoughts from some of the players involved. Not everybody was available for comment post-race, but Mitch Payton did an interview with Swap Moto Live, Levi Kitchen was on the Pulp MX show last night, and both Levi Kitchen and Haiden Deegan's mechanic Brent Duffy will be on the AC and JB show today. So as the days go by, we get a little bit more insight each day, and I've even heard some pretty crazy and funny conspiracy theories about there being a hit out on Haiden Deegan, and I don't know about all that, but imagine how wild it would be if Mitch or Kawasaki was like, "Yo Levi, take out the Deegs and I got a bag for you." So that's what's going down in today's video. I'll pretty much give you all the thoughts I could possibly think of about the incident. But before I do, got to give a huge thank you to my channel sponsors. Thank you to ASV Inventions and Sirius Studio. I have links and discount codes in my video description, and if you guys are supporting them, you're supporting me. Let's get into the fun. Alright, conspiracy number 1 regarding this matter is that Levi was mad at Haiden because he actually caused this incident in practice. Big crash on the fake start with Max Volan absolutely pinballing and cleaning out Levi Kitchen, but when you look at it closely, was it even Deegan's fault? As the qualifying gate drops, check out this freeze frame right here. Deegan is smashed right in the middle between Voland and Davies, and to me, it looks like Davies is the one who came over on Deegan. There's quite a bit of room between he and Jordan Smith on his other side, but then Davies, Deegan, Voland, and Shimoda are all bunched up in the middle. And as you can see with it super slowed down, Davies continues to come over on Deegan, kind of locks bars with him, and Deegan actually backs out of it. But the real loser in this one is Max Voland, connects bars with Deegan, turns down for what? It looks like he's going for the ACL tear, but the problem is, whenever he straightens back out, he whiskey throttles, holds her wide open, and bounces off a couple bikes and into Levi Kitchen. So after looking at it and slowing it down, I really can't find any reason that Deegan would have been at fault for that crash. I just think he was somebody that was involved. And on top of that, Levi's done some interviews now and he's talked about the incident a little bit, and not one time has he mentioned that as being a reason, or even mentioned it at all actually. So as far as this possibly being a factor as to what transpired later in the night, I'm writing this one off. I think it's unrelated. But at any rate, it was a bummer to see, and we got to throw a shout out and a get well soon to Maximus Voland. I think it was a dislocated elbow or something like that. It sounds ugly, you never want to see that, and hopefully he gets healed up soon, has a good offseason, and we'll see him back at full force with the handbrake next year. Now we'll jump into main event number 2, where the incident actually happened between Levi Kitchen and Haiden Deegan. Gate drops and Deegan has an okay start, but nothing like he had in the first moto where he got off to the early lead. And he really didn't have a bad jump at all, but if you look just to his outside, his teammate Nate Thrasher had a bit of a wheel on him. And then if you look to the inside, he doesn't really have a wheel on any of them, so that kind of led into him being sandwiched heading into turn 1. But after entering the first corner in jeopardy of being buried, this dude showed us a perfect how-to of how to maneuver the first couple of corners and get out as good as you possibly can. After exiting the first corner in about 6th or 7th, he slices through the inside, goes on, off, and by the entrance of the sand, he's already up into the 3 spot. Let's go ahead and slow that down for a second. As he enters the first corner, right as I freeze this, he's getting shut down by a Thrasher, and it really looks like he's in jeopardy at being buried in the pack. But somehow, he perfectly threads the needle right between literally everybody, goes just inside a handful of guys and just outside of a few more. And as I freeze it again, right after he goes over Trump's favorite jump, you know that guy loves walls, but Deegan is right there in the 6th spot. But here's where he really does his damage. Headed into the rollers, he doubles and doubles again all the way to the inside, and I mean all the way to the inside, as far inside as you could go. And as you can see in this freeze frame, he's pretty much the lone soldier on the inside and has the whole inside to work with while everybody else is bouncing off each other around the outside. And as he does that, he grabs a couple more spots while at the same time setting himself up to go on, off. And the reason that's important is because pretty much everybody else in the freeze frame is going table over table, massive airtime, while Deegan's getting power to the ground and going step on, step off. He makes a few more passes there, and already as he's entering the sand, he's headed into the number 3 spot. Now, as we make our way out of the sand section, I thought I saw something that could have been of interest in regards to the Deegan versus Kitchen incident. Coming over this single out of the sand, Deegan barely has the wheel on Kitchen, takes a look over and sees Levi to his inside and chops the front wheel pretty good. And at first glance, I thought this could have been something that pissed Levi off enough to provoke him to clean out Deegan a couple corners later. But once I slowed it down, it really wasn't that bad. Haiden just did what he needed to do to get the inside closed off in the following corner. And if that was enough to piss Levi off and make him hit the Deegs, then in my opinion, he must have just been waiting for a reason. But it's lap 1, it's crazy, it's intense, and there's not a whole lot of time to think things through. You kind of just go off of instincts, and right about here, Levi must have had the instinct to slam Deegan. And I don't know about you guys, but to me, that came out of nowhere. I was not expecting it. Me and the people I was watching the race with were actually talking about something else. Then bam, total slam job. And if I had to guess, right about here is probably where the chef made the decision. He's right on Deegan, almost bouncing off the back wheel. And we'll get a little bit more into Levi's thoughts on the incidents at the end of the video. But in his interviews, he voiced his opinion about the track being hard to pass on and needing to make moves quick. So with those two things in mind, that's why I chose this freeze frame, because I think right about here is probably where he got the intent to make the move that he did. He was right there, he was really close, and he probably felt that that was his best chance to make a move. And in my honest opinion, it was the best time he could make a move because Deegan's been faster than everybody, nobody can catch him. But as they land the wall jump and head into the sand, you can see Kitchen's intent continue to grow as he hits the double, maneuvers his body positioning a little bit in the air to angle himself towards the inside of the corner, and as you can see in the freeze frame, he knows exactly where he's going and exactly where he's going to end up. But he angles in straight for him, Deegan's clearly not expecting it, they make contact, and we got an explosion. They're both down. And if RC has said one good thing on the mic, it's that if you're going to take somebody down, you can't be taking yourself down with them. And in my opinion, the big problem here, besides the self-admitted lack of experience from Levi Kitchen, is the fact that he had to go over a couple of ruts to make this move. If you've got a nice big open berm with no ruts and you just got a straight shot to the front wheel, really not near as hard. But in this case, having 3 or 4 ruts to cross over before you even get to your target makes this a whole lot more complicated. And this is the rut right here that was the culprit. When Levi got to it, he was still headed straight, trying to aim for the Deegs, not cornering. And as you can see in this next freeze frame, not only is he at the wrong angle to hit that rut, but he's also making contact with Deegan. Those two factors are what appeared to have worked together to send Kitchen into a total boned out, boner air sketch city crash. And when you look at the super slow-mo, that's even more slow-mo thanks to me, you can see something that Levi mentioned in the Pulpamex interview, and that's actually that they slammed each other's heads in the middle of the corner. Nothing like a little CTE answer in the chat, no damn choice. But who knows, maybe slamming domes could have led to Levi grabbing a little handful of throttle, and that might have contributed into the loop-out turn-down crash. And we've hardly even touched on Deegan's role in the whole incident. The dude clearly didn't see it coming, got smoked, and even still, he almost rode it out. The only reason he actually hit the ground is because he went over the berm and in between lanes. But in this freeze frame, you can tell the dude's hanging on for dear life. He doesn't go down unless he has to. Losing feet, losing hands, the dude's pretty much going to stay in it unless he jumps into the stands. So that was the incident itself and all the things that led up to it. I'm not sure that I saw anything in that particular race that would have led to Levi Kitchen having some motivation to clean out Deegan. But with that being said, in the last couple of years, there's been a lot of chirping, a lot of back and forth, and a lot of beef between the two. So maybe, rather than having a reason that stemmed from the actual race itself, maybe Levi was just finally getting tired of it, had had enough, and wanted to put an end to Deegan smack talking. And as far as the effect that it had on Haiden Deegan, it definitely left a mark. He was probably on his way to going 1-1, and instead he went 1-14, was only able to get back to 6th overall, and now has a 10-point gap between he and Joe Shimoda heading into the finale. The difference between 1st and 2nd at the triple points final round is 9 points, so he's going to need a little bit of help. Joe can get 2nd, and Haiden can win, but Joe would still be the champion. And if Deegan manages to pull this thing off, then the salvage ride in St. Louis Moto 2 is going to be one to remember. The dude didn't even have a front brake lever, was way back and crashed again after the takeout, and still clawed his way back to 14th, and that 6th overall may or may not be able to save the championship depending on what happens this weekend. And shockingly, as far as comments from Deegan, we haven't heard anything. The only thing I've seen is the Yamaha press release where Haiden was quoted as saying that he had a little bit of an incident, but that's racing and he was going to move on. So who knows, maybe he realizes that if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. Or maybe he's just going to let his riding do the talking in a very bold strategy change. Either way, I'm excited to see how this progresses moving forward. You know the kid's pissed off. And although we have not heard from Haiden Deegan, we have heard from Levi Kitchen as he went on the Pulpamex show last night. And of course, they immediately started with talking about the incident. And in summary, Levi said that he thought he had a good enough opening. There's lots of money on the line, double points, and he had finally gotten a good start. There was nowhere to pass on that track, and he saw an opening. He went for it, but he didn't execute it well at all. Levi then talked about how if he had slid the rear end more and leaned into it, then maybe he could have made that move work, but he doesn't have much experience trying those moves. He talked about how if it wasn't him that made that move, then it would have been someone else, unless they didn't want to do what they needed to do for hundreds of thousands of dollars. When asked about history between he and Haiden Deegan, Levi thought they were cool as teammates back in the day on Star Yamaha, but ever since he left, there's been some crap talking and there's been some beef brewing. But at the end of the day, Levi basically explained that he really wanted to make the pass and he wanted to move forward, not end up on the ground, but he has zero experience making that move. He flat out said that he just didn't know how to execute it. And the last thing that they asked him regarding the incident was if anything happened post-race. And to me, this might be the biggest shocker of all, because Levi said that not one thing happened. Neither Haiden nor Brian said anything to Levi. He said that he's sure they're not happy, but as of now, he hasn't heard anything about it from them. So that's what Levi had to say about it. I don't know about you guys, but I didn't really get the vibe of conspiracy, team order, hit being put out on Haiden Deegan, or anything like that. I just think the dude wanted to make some money, make a move, get to the front, but just didn't do it properly. And last but not least, my boy Kellen Brower from Swap Moto Live managed to get an interview with Mitch Payton post-race in St. Louis. And in the interview, Mitch called it, quote, an aggressive pass. Mitch said that's what he wants him to do. Everybody else in the class would do it, and that's what Haiden would do. He also explained that Haiden could have checked up, but Levi probably shouldn't have taken that chance that early. He also explained that it was early in the moto, and that's when it's easiest to make the most passes, and that's when you gotta strike while the iron's hot. And at the end of the day, Mitch said that he applauded the move. He talked to the AMA about the warning they gave Levi, as he thought that maybe Star wanted to protest the move. He compared the move to RJ at St. Louis, which hilariously got a response from RJ. But Mitch said there was no penalty there, so he thought it was kind of weird that there was a penalty here. But he didn't fight the ruling, and from what I hear, the written warning was basically just to document that there had been an incident, just in case there's another one so they can refer back to it and take the proper action needed. But that's pretty much all the info I got for you guys on the Haiden Deegan versus Levi Kitchen incident from the St. Louis SMX race. I don't think it was anything crazy. I don't think there was a hit on Haiden Deegan or anything like that. I just think it was an overzealous move that was poorly executed and left two riders on the deck. And as far as entertainment for the series goes, they just did us a huge favor. Deegan was about to be on his way with running away with the second round in a row. He would have had a good points lead heading into Vegas, and he just would have had to manage from there. But now, he's going to need some help. He's going to have to get spicy and possibly rough up Joe Shimoda. So it's going to be super entertaining. It's going to be great for the fans. It's going to be a barn burner, and I'll be there in person myself to witness it. So it's going to be an exciting one. I can't wait, but that's all I got for you guys today. Appreciate you guys tuning in, and as always, let me know what you guys thought of the video. If you agree, disagree, if I'm just a cooked unit, or anything in between. We're here for all of it. But thank you guys again for watching. Really appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you next time.